bring their energy efficiency portfolio to the Kansas Corporation Commission. So our goal today is to make sure that they don't forget about us here in Wichita.
That audio courtesy of our news partners at Cake TV. And now here's sports.
From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Mason Voth. This update brought to you by Clearwater Liquor. Get your beer, wine, and spirits for your favorite games at Clearwater Liquor. KU's Ochai Agbaji was named the Big 12 Player of the Week, the first one of this season. Agbaji scored a career-high 29 last week to start the season against Michigan State, and he had 25 in the home opening win against Tarleton State. Agbaji and the Jayhawks are back in action Thursday as they take on Stony Brook at home.
At Midwest Kia, we're helping you solve all the problems that everyone is talking about when buying your next new vehicle. Have you been told there are no new cars out there? No problem. Have you been told you have negative equity? No problem. Have you been told you have bad credit? No problem. Maybe you've even heard you can't get a great deal on a new car. At Midwest Kia, we solve all of these problems for you. With over 300 new Kias, certified pre-owned Kias, and used vehicles, Midwest Kia has the deal and the car, truck, or SUV for you. And we want to get you approved. If you have $600 cash or trade, you could be approved for a brand new Kia today. Plus, every new Kia comes with our amazing 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Only at Midwest Kia and MidwestKia.com. Simple, transparent, and fast. A better way to buy.
We want to see ya in a Midwest Kia.
On select models with approved credits. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See retailer for details.
This is Phil Martinez with Phil's Coins. The difference between us and our competition is the fact that we care about our customers greatly. When you come to our shop, we listen to what you want to do and what your needs are, and we try to build a portfolio that will work for you. It's all about you. It's not about us. Our biggest goal is to help you accomplish your life's goals and what you're going to do in the easiest form that we can do it in. We always treat you with honesty and integrity. It's not just our motto, it is the way we do business. Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central.
Market information from the Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Andy Hooser, wrapping up today on a Tuesday, and a little bit lower in most of your cash grain reports for the states of Kansas and Oklahoma. Wheat, corn, Milo, soybeans, all kind of mixed across the board today. We did see a bit of a gain in Milo, but not much by the end of trading. Starting off with your Goodland Co-op, we saw ending prices of wheat today sitting at $7.76, $5.91 in the corn, Milo at $5.81, and soybeans $11.76. Over in Belleville, Kansas, wheat today was at $7.91, corn at $5.56, $5.81 in the Milo, and soybeans at $11.86. Over in Beloit, Kansas, $7.91 was the ending price in wheat today, $5.66 in the corn, $5.81 in the Milo, and soybeans at $11.86. Concordia, Kansas, we saw $8 and a penny for the price of wheat, $5.66 in the corn, $5.91 in the Milo, and $11.96 in the bean market. Sumner County Terminal, $8.06 was the price of wheat today, $5.66 in corn, $5.88 in the Milo, and $11.70 in the soybeans. In Fredonia, Kansas, $7.76 was the final price of wheat today, $5.44 in the corn, $5.63 in the Milo, and $12 and a penny in soybeans. And the western part of the state of Garden City, Kansas, $8 and a penny for the wheat today, $6 and a penny for corn, $5.76 in the Milo, and $11.63 in the beans. Down in Oklahoma, we'll start off with Enid, Oklahoma. Wheat today was at $8.11, $5.61 in the corn, $5.91 in the Milo, and $12 and a penny in the beans. And Panhandle of Hooker, Oklahoma, we saw $8.20 for the wheat today, $6.21 in the corn, $5.86 in the Milo, and $11.61 in the soybeans. So looking at the averages today, we saw wheat today drop about 14 cents with an average of $7.96. Corn with an average of $5.74, down 6 cents from yesterday. Milo went up a penny at $5.82, and the soybeans at $11.83.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers. Conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road. The Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Mostly sunny and mild again this afternoon in Wichita. We'll see some high, thin clouds, but highs should still climb into the low 70s. South wind 10 to 20, gusts to 25. Tonight, a cold front comes through. Temperatures drop to 44. Wind turns to the north. Could see wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. For your day on Wednesday, windy and much cooler. A high near 54. With your forecast, I'm Cake meteorologist Frank Law.
That's your latest Cake First Alert weather update on the Big Talker, KQAM.
At 4:06, it's currently 72 degrees. fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they liked to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You know, we start to see examples every single day of activism at the local level and how much you can do on that local front to make an impact that is huge. As Donald Trump used to say, is huge, is bigly. It's the beautiful thing that you've ever seen in your entire life. Holy cow, do we have a lot of news to get to today. We're going to try and cram it all in here because that's just what we do here on The Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. We are all over the country, multiple radio stations, multiple TV stations, live streaming and podcasting. Welcome aboard your Millennial General reporting for duty like we do every single day. Who do we have on the program today? Oh, that's right, VERONIKA KYRYLENKO. We've had her on the program many times before. She is a contributor to The New American. You can find them online at thenewamerican.com and find their great pieces of opinion pieces, news articles, all the good stuff. Go and check that out. We are in waiting of the deliberations from the jury from the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Today is day number 11. It is live on social media and YouTube if you want to watch it. But right now, I've had it on for hours waiting for something, just in case we could get a snippet of them saying he's not guilty and it was a case of self-defense in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Have not heard anything yet, so they are still live. And that was about 4 hours ago when I turned this on, and still yet nothing. So if something happens while we're on the program, then we'll break it and get that to you. But as of right now, nothing's happened. It could go on for a day or two here as well. I was expecting it to go relatively quickly. I thought that we would come back with a decision pretty easy. I mean, the rumor has been floated out by many talk show hosts and different pundits that the prosecution really tried to throw the case because it was that bad, which I find hilarious. And although I did see some protests as well, people outside the courthouses protesting up in Wisconsin saying that if there is no justice, now in their mind, they know the answers, they know what happened, and either you roll with us or we will protest and cause havoc in the streets. They already know the answers. Doesn't matter what the video, doesn't matter what the experts say, doesn't matter what the legal team says, doesn't matter what a jury of their peers say. You know, we have this whole process of a constitutional law, constitutional republic. We have a right to a speedy trial. We have a right to a jury of our peers. So that way we don't have the overlords bearing over us, making ridiculous decisions and abusing us or letting people off scot-free based on political sides. It happens at times, but that's not the way the system was supposed to be set up. But instead, after all the evidence has been laid out and the prosecution completely bombed it, again, conspiracy on whether they tried to throw it or not, I don't know. I find that kind of interesting because it was a pretty bad case. Let's just be honest. It was a really bad case. If they say that he's not guilty of murder and that he was acting in self-defense, now we have crowds out there saying that they know better than the experts, they know better than the law, they know better than the peers that were on the panel, and that if there is no quote-unquote justice that they have set the terms for, that is either you charge him with first-degree murder or else, their term is if they don't, then we will burn the streets down again and we will protest and cause havoc in the streets. That is not how a civil society acts. That is not how a society. But again, this is a prime example. I mean, throughout this entire process of this hearing, we've heard the prosecution say that which I find ironic. You got to admit here, and no one I don't think has really mentioned this point, but the prosecution is the state of Wisconsin. The court case is Wisconsin v. Kyle Rittenhouse. It is the state of Wisconsin charging Kyle Rittenhouse for first-degree murder. It is not a private party. It is not a company. It is not one of the guys that was shot, the head kicker, high jumper dude, whatever these stupid names are they're trying to put on these in this case. It is not a private party going after Kyle Rittenhouse. It is the state of Wisconsin. Now imagine that for a second. The state of Wisconsin is the prosecution defending the ones that are burning the cities of the state of Wisconsin
And they're the ones being defended while going after the guy that was trying to stop the people that was destroying the state of Wisconsin by burning down private businesses and private car lots and the city itself. I mean, he's trying to stop that from happening, and the city or the state is actually going after him. I personally find that ironic. I like finding synchronicities and fun little parallels in the world today, and I find that quite ironic. You could cut that with butter. You couldn't make this up with a movie in a Hollywood script, probably because they don't know how to make any new original content anymore, so they have to go back to the same old part 23 of this new film. But I digress. So we'll keep you posted if we hear any more news on the Wisconsin v. Kyle Rittenhouse case as the deliberations are going on with the jury. I honestly, personally thought it would be done by now. Good news is they did request some laws on the concealed carry and self-defense laws in the state of Wisconsin. The jury asked for them from the judge, so they're at least looking at these self-defense cases and trying to understand it a little bit better than you, and either you do it this way or we come after you and cause havoc in the streets. That's a crazy world to live in. Welcome in. We got a lot to get to today. I don't want to spend a lot of time, obviously, since there's not a lot of news on it, but I had to give you an update as we're waiting on that deliberation here right now. At the same time, there is some squabbling going on within the Republican Party internally as well. I know. We're always trying to continuously evolve ourselves, make ourselves a little bit better, make the Republican Party a little bit stronger, expose and weed out the hack Republicans that aren't really Republicans. You know, the John Kasichs from Ohio and the Mitt Romneys from Utah and the Susan Collins and the Lisa Murkowskis and the Liz Cheneys. Trying to expose them for destroying the Republican Party from the inside because we have an agenda. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody. It could be a good agenda. It could be a bad agenda. It could be a personal agenda. It could be a community agenda. But don't try, even on our side, you can't say we don't have an agenda. I have an agenda. It's an agenda to promote conservatism, to promote individual sovereignty, to try and make you think as an individual as opposed to a collective mindset, to try and expose all the corruption from the government, and for you to be a catalyst to change things within your community, because when every little community does that on their own, guess what? Then the larger communities do well, the states do well, the nation does well as a whole. That's my agenda. And it's a good agenda. There are others that have a very malicious or negative agenda, so we try to use these airwaves to get into your brainwaves, either consciously or subconsciously, and try to let you know, hey, you can do it. You can make the changes. And I think that's what's starting to happen. The state of Wyoming, according to Trib.com, the Wyoming Republican Party, the state of Wyoming's Republican Party, has voted statewide to no longer recognize Liz Cheney as a Republican. The vote was held by the Wyoming GOP Central Committee and voted 31-29 during a Saturday meeting in Buffalo, Wyoming. The symbolic move came after roughly 9 county Republican parties voted to no longer recognize Cheney, Joey Corriente, or chairman of the Carbon County GOP, and one of the officials spearheading the effort estimated a number of these this is, by the way, from the site Trib.com. A number of those county central committees passed the resolution with much wider margins than the state committee, with some passing the resolution unanimously. We're done. Now, Andy, what does this actually mean? It's a very strong symbolic gesture. In case you don't know how the inner workings of politics work, you have the National Republican Committee, the RNC. Then you have the statewide parties, and they get funding from the RNC. The RNC helps out local elections. You do your thing. The statewide party works with county parties. The county parties work with local precinct committee people. The Republican Party or the Democrat Party appoints the precinct committee people based on the popular vote in that district, which means if you live on a random street and there is no precinct committee person, you can be appointed as the precinct committee person under the Republican or the Democrat Party. When a vacancy comes up in that seat for a Congress seat or a state legislative seat or a county commission seat or whatever happens, they come to you, the precinct committee person, just the lonely old person going about their day, trying to make the living, put the food on the table, do the 9-to-5 grind, whatever. They come to you and say, hey, there's a vacant seat in that district. Every precinct committee person gets to go and vote to have a say here. You get to decide who's going to fill those vacancies. Huge seat. Andy, I don't have any power. What can I do? Become a precinct committee chair in your district. That goes a long way. You don't have to do much, and you get a lot of power locally. Let's take it to the next level. Then you get involved with the county Republican Party. The county Republican parties in Wyoming just voted, many of them unanimously, to not recognize Liz Cheney as a Republican because she's a hack Republican. She's an extreme moderate. She's still on this weird, obsessive vendetta against Donald Trump that doesn't make any sense in any way, shape, or form, especially as a Republican Party looking to the midterm elections that should be focused attention on Joe Biden and the Democrats and the left-wing progressive agenda. But instead, she's so focused on, I hate Donald Trump, I'm going to destroy. I'd rather destroy the party than start to move forward and forget about Trump and just go about my day. But instead, she's heading up the January 6th committee. She feels like she's important in some way, shape, or form, and she's still trying to rail on Republicans, harming the party. The party said, we're done. Can't do it. The precinct committee people, the county parties, and in the state party, which means, again, like you as a member of the Republican Party in your county, you get to be delegates either for the state or for your county or however that works in your state. Then you go and you vote. They voted 31-29 to not recognize her as a Republican any longer. Does it really do much? It's a strong message for someone who is a congresswoman in the state of Wyoming who covers a district and is supposed to help local elected officials. Again, you got to look at the internal workings of the Republican Party. We have the federal stuff. We have the state stuff. The federal elected officials help the county parties financially. They help them with campaigning. They help them with the messaging in altogether. They work hand in hand. When the county parties that help get them elected with the boots on the ground sort of thing, when they step away and say, we don't recognize you anymore because you're a hack and we don't like you, that's a major statement. Now, of course, they try to blow it off. They try to dismiss it and just, okay, whatever, we don't need you anyways. But when the counties are no longer helping you, they don't host your campaign headquarters. They don't have boots on the ground helping you knock on doors to talk to people. That's a major thing. So Liz Cheney essentially just lost the next election. Now, they've come out and said, according to the spokesperson for Liz Cheney, Jeremy Adler, quote, it's laughable to suggest Liz is anything but a committed conservative Republican. She is bound by her oath to the Constitution. Sadly, a portion of the Wyoming GOP leadership has abandoned that fundamental principle and instead allowed themselves to be held hostage to the lies of a dangerous and irrational man. So again, they can't look beyond the obsession, like weird narcissist obsession of Donald Trump. They can't look past that in trying to go after him as opposed to, you know what? I didn't like him. He's gone. He's not in office any longer. Let's focus on the midterm elections. Let's focus on stopping Joe Biden. Let's focus on stopping Kamala Harris. Let's start trying to get rid of the socialist progressive agenda happening right now. And let's focus on getting Republicans a majority to do the right thing for the country. She can't do that. And even in their response, they make it clear that they would rather turn on the local Republican parties because they're saying, hey, we don't care what your focus is policy-wise right now. We despise Donald Trump so much that we'll step away from the party. We'll call you a corrupt party because you're still stuck with Donald Trump, and we're just going to focus on trying to demonize him a year after he's out of office. How that makes sense, I don't know, but it shows the delusion of the moderate Republicans right now, and she's gone. Because if the local county parties don't support her, she won't be in office anymore. And again, I reiterate, as a catalyst for change, if you want to get rid of someone at the federal level, start working at your party at the local level and get the party to not support them any longer, and they'll be gone.
The voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why?
because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right you are. Welcome back into the program. 24 minutes past the hour. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. By the way, we are still getting pummeled on Facebook Live right now. No one is seeing this content. It's insane. Like, we're doing well on the other sites, so I think we're just going to start promoting the other sites for the most part. We have Twitch.tv. We have YouTube that's doing nyeh. Again, they don't like us. They've shut us down more times than I can count. Got rid of videos just randomly. Like, oh, we didn't like your content. We're going to remove that one. Twitch.tv has been really the best consistent one. Twitter, surprisingly, has been pretty consistent as well, and we do okay on that one. Just in consistency of actually the video staying up there. But Facebook, after we had gotten Facebook banned and went to Facebook jail back in like January, February of this year, we went from about 1,000 views every day to about 30 views a day. So if you see it on there, or if you think about it, you can go to it at facebook.com/HooserReason, and you can find, we shared it also on our flagship radio stations, KQAM page. It's also my personal page. It's also on the Hooser Media Network page at facebook.com/HooserMedia. And you can, if you find it on any of those, like it, share it out, leave a comment just to say hi, break that algorithm a little bit. Again, I'm about ready to just drop Facebook and just be done with it because it's not even really worth it. The other sites are actually doing way better. And I mean, like, decent, really good. Plus our website as well, that we have the live streaming going on a lot of times as well. Plus, I can't say a whole lot yet, but we do have a new media outlet that we should be streaming on here soon. It's a major network that does kind of like what the Hooser Media Network's about to do, is streaming numerous different programs, and it's just constant programming with different shows. and we're about ready to jump on them soon as well. We're working on some of the logistics, talking to them. They want to. We're just trying to figure out when and how to do it. So more information to come there, and stay tuned on that one. It's going to be really exciting when that one comes. So I don't know. I'm still up in the air on whether I want to continue on with Facebook or not, just because they don't even allow it to get out. Unless you actively go and look for it, and half the time you can't even find it when you're actively looking for it. It just doesn't pop up on anybody's radar. And we went from literally about over 1,000 views a day to roughly about 30 to 40 views a day. So again, not that I care, because the other sites are doing decent. You can find it on the other places as well, but good golly. I mean, talk about censorship. Holy cow. Speaking of, let's get into what's trending today.
What's trending today?
Just to kind of wrap up that last conversation as well, again, you can make changes, because when you have local parties start disavowing the messaging from our elected officials, things seem to change really quickly, because then they don't have the support at the local front that keeps them in office. They can spend all the money in the world, but if you don't have the grassroots campaigning that Republicans do oh so well with people knocking on doors and making the phone calls, then it doesn't work. It doesn't happen. And then you go to the mindset of the Democrats of just, we're going to send out this messaging and hope people just buy it. And Republicans are just a little bit smarter than that. Progressives, they struggle on the IQ level at times. So, we actually are interactive. They have to take classes on how to interact with their constituents. Let that sink in for a second. But at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk with VERONIKA KYRYLENKO. She's going to be talking about the OSHA mandates for vaccines. What are the details actually within these OSHA mandates? What could we look forward to? Now, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has halted them as of last week on November 6th, and they are looking at those, reviewing them, seeing whether they are constitutional or not. We've given some ideas on what we could expect coming out of that, but she's going to give the inner details, actually looking into it, of what it's going to look like. There is a new headline from Axios that the Biden administration is now going to be including in those OSHA mandates not just the COVID-19 vaccine, but also mandating the booster expansion shots as well. Now, which ones? I don't know, because we have two booster shots now? Or just more? The Moderna and Pfizer, like other ones are coming out with their own booster shots? I don't know, because I haven't followed it, because I don't care, because I will never, ever take the vaccine. I'll just put it out there. I would rather, honestly, to be honest, I would rather pass away from COVID-19 than get the vaccine. Why? Because it's gone from such a lack of intel and openness and transparency to now just a force that I would rather not take it in any way, shape, or form. The only way you're going to get it is if you strap me down in some underground government secret bunker and inject it. Because I'm not doing it. I'm just not taking it. But now, could they be mandating the boosters? I could see a year from now mandating booster number 58. Make sure you get your booster or you could lose your job again. Why? Because why not, right? That's what they want to control. We'll talk about some of that when we come back. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject.
Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I'm seeing some of the comments come in on social media, by the way, with some of the streaming, which you can find on our social media at Hooser Reason. That's Hooser Reason. On all of our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, OurFreedomBook.com, doesn't matter. All of them are the same. Also, the website at HooserReason.com. Seeing some comment about the jokes about 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah. People are starting to wake up that that's not about trying to flatten the curve or stop the virus. You got to remember, again, there's no way to stop the virus. It is an airborne virus. It is not going anywhere. It is now going to be a normal thing. It's going to be like the flu. It is there every single year. It is airborne. Animals are starting to get it. You cannot, it will never be eradicated. The only thing you can do is learn how to live and cope with it and actually build up an immunity to stop it, which is either doing it naturally or doing it with vaccines. And the boosters sound like they're going to be like an annual booster thing, which just goes right into the headline that we read going into the bottom of the hour of the imminent booster expansion for the vaccine mandates, that not only are you going to be mandated to be allowed, quote unquote, allowed. I love how the government's allowing you to work as long as you get the vaccine, but now it's going to be about the booster. And in 2 years from now, it's going to be, you need to get booster number 57, and if you don't, you're going to lose your job again. And that's what we're up against. I think people are starting to wake up about kind of the control and the fact that government's not really helping the situation. You know, my man Conor McGregor, the MMA fighter, UFC fighter, big fan. I don't care. I'm a fanboy. I love Conor McGregor. That's about the only UFC fights that I actually purchase and watch. He's obviously a citizen of Ireland. And the Irish government apparently today made an announcement and was talking about the updated vaccine mandates and what they were doing there and just the protocol for social distancing and so on, and locking things down and whatever, because they've been a lot stricter and tighter than we have here. And I don't know what the numbers are in Ireland, but I just saw just about 10 minutes ago, Conor McGregor tweeted, he said, "We're almost 3 years into this. We have come together time and time again, gone above and beyond what you've asked of us. Yet we always have gotten back as hypocritical address after hypocritical address. The audacity, I am ashamed of my nation's government at this time." So apparently, after following all the guidelines, trying to limit the curve, trying to, suppress the virus spread, they're still not backing down on any of their vaccine mandates or rules or masks or social distancing or whatever they're doing in Ireland. And I think he, along with a lot of other people, are getting frustrated because they've done everything that was asked of them, and yet it's still not enough, and the government wants more. I conveniently responded back to him saying, yeah, you know what, welcome to the government BS, because once they get a lick of that power and control, they don't want to let go of that power and control, and they're going to find excuses to keep it up. So, yeah, good luck with that. And the only way it stops is when you just stop complying. Let's talk about some of this. What do you say?
What's trending today?
I am super excited to have back on the program. She is a genius when it comes to researching all these topics. She is a contributor to The New American. You can find the magazine online at thenewamerican.com. Excited to have back on the program with us here, VERONIKA KYRYLENKO. VERONIKA, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Andy. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always great to chat with you. These OSHA laws, let's talk about this for a second, because I think, first off, there is a lack of understanding that there are two separate things going on right here. And correct me if I'm wrong with what you've researched. There's really two mandates that have come down. There is the Joe Biden executive order that has come down for all federal employees that, by the way, includes contractors and subcontractors, which that hit hard here in my front. You know, I'm based out of Wichita, Kansas. We have a lot of aviation with Spirit Aerosystems and Textron, and a lot of the manufacturers and workers that build airplanes. They're federal contractors. They're now being mandated to get these vaccines. That's already in effect. Then we have the OSHA mandates that are about to come out saying any company in the country with 100 employees or more is going to have to get all their employees vaccinated. That one's on hold by the courts, but there are two separate things going on right here, isn't there?
Yes, there are two different orders coming from Biden. He published them on October 9th, and one, like you said, it's about all federal employees and contractors and subcontractors. Everyone who does business with the federal government must be vaccinated or tested weekly and wearing a mask, social distancing. There are lots of limitations to people who refuse the vaccine. They cannot be generally traveling for work. They cannot be promoted often. So if you're vaccinated in the federal government, and the exceptions are very limited too. Of course, the law allows you to submit for the medical or religious exemptions, but they are very seldomly and very rarely granted. So your options are very limited if you're in the federal government. And there is an order that instructed Occupational Safety and Health Administration, a part of the Department of Labor, to develop a so-called emergency temporary standard, which was published almost 2 weeks ago, and which was halted by the Federal Court of Appeals. But as you know, the Biden administration says, businesses, please ignore this legal ruling and please continue to enforce the mandate.
Yeah.
And this is what's going on.
It is wild, the fact that we have it held up in court. And they're like, oh, don't worry about that. I just saw a headline as well from CNBC about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce as well, saying, you know what, I know it's being held up in court. I know they're challenging it and they're reviewing this. Just go about as if it's not being held up in court. Continue to enforce it as a business. Continue to get your employees vaccinated, because it probably won't fall through the courts or whatever. So just go about your business as if it is still in effect. Usually that's not the way it works, is it? This is kind of strange.
Yeah, well, you know that the Biden administration doesn't care about the rule of law at all. They don't care about such inconveniences, and we know that this EDS will be thrown out of when it goes to the Supreme Court, which it's a great possibility that it will. It will not stand. You know that at least 26 states already, and 3 of which are Democrat-led, and I know that Kansas is one of them, have came out against OSHA's vaccine mandate. 4 legal challenges to OSHA's rule have been filed in different courts, So, and multiple companies, corporations are joining such these lawsuits. So the pushback is very strong because the companies know that they will lose employees, especially retailers, and where the holiday season approaches, and it's going to be a disaster for the economy.
Yeah.
But it seems that the Biden administration, this is what they want. This is why they're so persistent.
Yeah, that is what they want. And it reminds me of the Obama times where they don't really look at the local communities and what's going on. They don't really reinforce or reinvest in their local parties because, like you mentioned, Kansas here, our Democrat governor has come out against it, which is very odd for her because she was for all the mandates all throughout the last couple of years with COVID. But now that we're getting into election season again and she's losing in the polls dramatically, she's trying to change her tone in a very red state like Kansas here as a Democrat. So she's trying to cover it up a little bit. And I think a lot of politicians, a lot of Democrats in very purple and very moderate areas are going to start changing their tone because you're right. This is going to destroy the economy, especially going into the holiday season when we need things on the shelves. Let's talk about the actual court case itself, or the court hearings on what this could look like, because my understanding, at least how I would think this would go, is they're going to be looking at the efficiency of a vaccine mandate on whether it's worth it for the purpose of what OSHA does, which is workplace safety, which means my guess is they're going to be looking and saying, okay, is a vaccination rate, which, by the way, you can still get the virus, you can still spread the virus with the vaccine or without the vaccine. They're going to be looking at these rates and saying, is a mass group of people vaccinated versus partly non-vaccinated with natural immunity versus whatever, is there any difference in any way, shape, or form in workplace safety on whether this mandate's going to be upheld or not? Is that about what they're looking at?
Well, yes, there are several points that the petitioners in the current ongoing lawsuits talk about. First of all, they argue that this EDS, it's absolutely unprecedented in its scope, and it imposes substantial costs and burdens on employers and employees in every industry in the economy. Because who is going to pay for the test, for example, when the employee refuses to get vaccinated? It means that you need to cover those costs, and they're going to be very substantial, just to start with. Then the suits say that by issuing such a sweeping order, OSHA has exceeded its own authority under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Even if the agency was granted such a power by the U.S. Congress, which never happened, by the way, such a mandate would exceed the federal government's power to regulate interstate commerce. It's not the business of federal government to tell local businesses and states what to do. It's just not in their power. Then also, The petitioners know that the risks of COVID is a society-wide danger, and it's not specifically related to the workplace. Therefore, it lies outside of OSHA's legal domain altogether. And then, to justify such a requirement, OSHA would have to prove that COVID poses a great danger, what they call it, it's a legal term, great danger, for all employers with 100 or more employees, which it cannot do for a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, just only a few months before expanding the ETS to all industries, because originally OSHA only issued ETS for the healthcare industry. So OSHA concluded that COVID was only a great danger to healthcare employers.
Right.
Second, the degree to which COVID may pose a great danger to workers depends on individual employees' age and health, and now on how many co-workers they have. So, because the mandate applies regardless of individual employees' risks and difference in workplace conditions, it is not narrowly tailored as emergency standards are required to be.
That's strange. Hold that thought.
Even if a person works at home.
Yeah, hold that thought. We got to take a hard break here. Hold that thought. We're talking to Veronika KYRYLENKO. When we come back, we'll talk about this, what it actually means, what they're going to break down with this, right here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. Conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
It boggles my mind on how they come up with these justifications to try and force you to be able to get the vaccine to go to work, how they try and tell you, in order for you to function in the private sector, you have to get this shot. Now your boss, your job, your company, your government gets to dictate your own healthcare decisions, which I just don't understand that. We're talking with VERONIKA KYRYLENKO, the New American, thenewamerican.com. If you want to check out her writings on there, great stuff. Has a PhD in political science. Worked with a defense consulting firm, geostrategic analysis. So obviously knows what she's talking about. VERONIKA, here's what I don't get. While the courts are looking at this, and maybe they have smarter people than me, obviously, but my thoughts are when they're looking at the, outside of what you had just mentioned, the constitutional ability for OSHA to actually do this, and they're surpassing their authority on the right to be able to do this, just the concept of trying to break down, is it worth it, and is it making a difference in the workforce? How do you judge a virus's impact on a workforce based on people that have been vaccinated versus natural immunity, who's someone who may have gotten it when it first came out to someone who just got it now, who's someone who hasn't gotten it all? I mean, how do we know if we've gotten it before, and how do you compare the natural immunity versus vaccinated immunity when you're looking at a mandate like this? I don't know how you can measure something like that.
They don't even try, Andy. If they tried, we would have something to talk about. I mean, the officials, the CDC and the FDA, that should be concerned with protecting our health and issuing some kind of recommendations based on very serious studies. They do not do that. So other people in other countries try to comprehend that, and we know already that the natural immunity, the kind of immunity that you develop as a result of recovering from the virus, from the coronavirus, is 27 times stronger and better and more and less longer than the immunity that you kind of develop due to COVID shots, if it doesn't kill you, if it doesn't injure you. Okay. So actually, these kind of mandates, I think it actually can cripple economy, not just because the unvaccinated folks will just go ahead and leave their workplace, like policemen in New York do. They moved to Florida because Governor DeSantis said, if you don't want to stay there, if they don't treat you well, I will take you. And this is what they do. And judging from the vaccine-related injuries and deaths, people cannot simply go to work because they suffer from this injury. So you cannot possibly justify this kind of mandates from the medical angle.
Yeah.
Because it does not make you, it does not build your immune system the way the natural immunity does.
Yeah.
The natural way of.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense, yeah. And when you start talking about people with exemptions, with medical or religious exemptions or whatever, when you throw in all of these different variants into a mandate like this, then it just crumbles in logic and common sense with natural immunity and exemptions to where it's not even worth trying to do it. But again, this is the overbearing umbrella version of centralized government that they like to enforce. But one thing that they're doing on top of this as well, outside of just ignoring completely the natural immunity for this, is those that, as you had mentioned, had adverse reactions to the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, obviously, the other side tries to say, well, there's not very many, which maybe there's not, but in the clinical trials, they're more than what normal vaccines on the market would be today, right? And why aren't we reporting this?
Actually, OSHA does not want you to know about those cases. They updated their FAQ page, and it states that it will not enforce its own recording requirements related to work-related injuries until at least next May, since it tries not to discourage COVID vaccinations in any way. And we have this vaccine reporting system, vaccine adverse reactions reporting system, virus, run to get the Department of Health and Human Services runs it together with the CDC, and we have, as of today, some 18,000 deaths and almost 1 million total adverse events. And
we don't hear about these. Yeah, the media doesn't talk about this.
And they do not even try to analyze that and say that these vaccines are not safe for all people.
Wow, it's unbelievable. Veronika, we're out of time here. We're all wrapped up. It's all done. But Veronika, it's so much information. Veronika KYRYLENKO, The New American, thenewamerican.com. Go and check it out. Veronika, it's always great to talk to you. I love having you on the program. We got to do it again soon.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. You keep it up.
Hey, always a pleasure. You as well. Keep up the great information. We got to get this stuff out and let people know. Don't worry about the adverse reactions. Just keep getting that jab or else you're not allowed to go to work. That's the craziness today. Podcasting up in just a little bit. Until then, I'm Andy Hooser. This is The Voice of Reason. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos